I think the Hobbits are not only specifically English, but Tolkien would have said straight away that they're specifically West Midlanders, that they remind him of the society of his youth, and they come actually from Warwickshire, Worcestershire, possibly Oxfordshire, Herefordshire, but he really means a very close area.
Hey guys, it's me again. I hope everyone is well and healthy. So yeah, we have more info about Amazon Tolkien ruination. Article from few months ago stated that there is also diverse hobbits. Sir Lenny Henry, who plays a black hobbit, but not only that, as you can see in statement, he says, I am a Harfoot. J.R.R. Tolkien was from Birmingham and suddenly there were black hobbits. Can you guys imagine that? Holy moly. Lenny said, we are indigenous population of Harfoots, we are multicultural, we are a tribe, not a race. There are, listen to this, black, Asian, brown, even Maori type of hobbit. I mean, this is just next level parody. 1 billion cost parody, nothing else. Tom Shippey, who knew J.R.R. Tolkien in person, knew what he said about hobbits. How can they be Asian, Maori, black if hobbits are rustic English people from England Midlands? Like, this makes no sense. I will let you watch video until the end where he explains what Tolkien said about hobbits and what they actually are. See you guys in the next video. Bye.
One page on this particular paper was left blank. Glorious. Nothing to read, so I scribbled on it. I can't think why. In a hole in the ground lived a hobbit.
I think the hobbits function as replacements for us, or as creatures with whom we can identify. And I think this is something that happens quite a lot in historical fiction. To give an example outside Tolkien, C.S. Forester's Horatio Hornblower stories have been very successful over a long period. And there you have a character set in the brutal world of the Royal Navy in the 19th century, with the lash and the rum ration continually being described. You can't help thinking, how would someone like me manage in a world like that? And the answer is perhaps not too well. Well, Hornblower is a 20th century person in a 19th century setting, and he actually expresses the attitudes that we would feel, and he shows somebody who is like a 20th century person coping very well in these extremely difficult circumstances. Well, the hobbits are rather like that. I wouldn't say they're exactly 20th century people, but they're obviously English people. And they're English people who are coping in a world which, in a sense, is far too big for them. And yet they grow into it. You get Bilbo Baggins at the start of The Hobbit being quite sneered at by the dwarves, who think he's absolutely no good for anything and nothing but useless baggage. But as the story goes on, Bilbo, though he doesn't become a hero like the dwarves, nevertheless shows that he can survive in that world, that he can manage, and that he has qualities which are at least comparable with the heroic qualities of the characters by whom he's surrounded.
The Hobbit, published in 1937, was a success. And the publisher, Stanley Unwin, wrote to Tolkien, "A large public will be clamouring next year to hear more from you about hobbits." They were to hear a great deal more about hobbits.
Hobbits are just rustic English people, made small in size because it reflects the general small reach of their imagination, but it's not the small reach of their courage or latent power.
I think the hobbits are not only specifically English, but Tolkien would have said straight away that they're specifically West Midlanders, that they remind him of the society of his youth, and they come actually from Warwickshire, Worcestershire, possibly Oxfordshire, Herefordshire, but he really means a very close area. And in many ways they represent, as it were, traditional English feelings. One of the things, for instance, which Sam Gamgee says at one point, which is quite anachronistic in The Lord of the Rings, he says to Gollum, who is complaining about the food as usual, he says, "Look, if we ever get home, Gollum, I'll cook you some nice fish and chips." Well, potatoes actually shouldn't exist in Middle-earth because they are, a late introduction to this world. Nevertheless, fish and chips is the traditional English diet, and that naturally then is what the hobbits offer. That's their main idea of a delicacy. They're also, I think, in a sense, a voice from the past, not the remote past, the rather recent past. But the hobbits have the attitudes, perhaps, of my grandfather's time. They are firmly attached to comfort, to 6 square meals a day if they can get them. They haven't heard about dieting or slimming or anything like that. You would never get a hobbit jogging, I think, under any circumstances. Nevertheless, they have virtues of their own. And they are, as Tolkien says, surprisingly able to endure rough handling. There is a kind of toughness in the fibre which they have.